So why Reading Partners connects? Innovation is really at the core of who we are here at Reading Partners, and we know that in order to be serving more students, we have to find new ways to continue to expand our program. So this has been something that's been in the works for us here at Reading Partners, but due to COVID-19, we've really just had to accelerate the work on this program so that we could be able to serve students this year in our schools. So we've just adapted our traditional in-person program and curriculum to now being in person but online. So we're excited to introduce this to you, and it's called Reading Partners Connects. And with this being a new program for us, it's also, just going to be new for you. So we're just asking for patience and feedback as we go through this year, just so that we could be continuing to refine this program for our students, not only this fall, but beyond that as well. Since our mission is to empower our communities and our students, it's important for us to understand some of the challenges that our schools are facing at the system level. So here we have 6 different challenges that our schools are facing right now, and we'll just start off with funding, which is one of the most widely discussed topics in our schools today. We've just seen budgets decrease over the years, and we see how that has a direct impact on our students and their achievement. One of the big cries for funding that we could probably all recall was just a couple years ago when we had the teacher walkout, where we had teachers leaving their schools to demand more funding for themselves, for their classrooms, and even for their schools in general. So you'll see the same kind of cry for funding pop up in some of these other topics as well. Another big challenge we're facing is the access to resources and technology. For our students, this can look like a lack of internet access at home or a lack of devices. In our schools, this can look like budget cuts that are limiting the technology that's available to students, and this just can have a direct impact on our students' achievement as well. Another challenge we're facing is the teacher shortages, and this is happening across the country, not just here in Tulsa, but what's happening is we're having fewer college students completing their teacher preparation courses or completing their degrees for teaching. And we're also having more teachers leave the education field within the first 5 years. So this just means that our students are often being taught by inexperienced teachers, which can have an effect on their achievement. Another challenge we're facing is the student-to-teacher ratio, and this one is pretty tied to budget cuts as well, where we'll see schools hiring less teachers, but this means that they have to increase class sizes, which can have an impact on our students' opportunities to receive one-on-one instruction and attention that they need to succeed. Another big challenge is just school safety, and right now COVID-19 is the big glaring headline where we've seen schools shut down early, and now it's just totally changing the way our schools are looking and operating. So this has really just exacerbated some of our challenges that we've already had in this area and just put an incredible strain on the schools, families, and the communities that surround as well. Lastly, I want to call out the opportunity gap, and I'm going to cover that on this slide here. The opportunity gap is the unequal or inequitable distribution of resources and opportunities, which relates to the external factors that are afforded to a population and rooted in a history of oppression. So many of us may have heard of this referred to as the achievement gap, but we actually want to disrupt that problematic narrative here because we're not talking about student achievement or student attributes here at all. What we're really talking about is much larger functions of society that have just disadvantaged entire groups of people. So achievement really has nothing to do with it when access is impossible. On the left side of your screen, you'll see some causes that we've listed from researchers on what they believe has caused this opportunity gap. And all of these are longstanding racial and class inequalities here in the United States. So examples of that would be geography, demographics, race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, or even native language. On the right side, you'll see some public policy responses that have been put in place to try and combat this opportunity gap for students. So some examples of that would be No Child Left Behind, Every Student Succeeds Act, and even some small charter and community school movements as well. And one thing to note here too is that even in their effort to close this opportunity gap, some of these reforms have actually created larger gaps for students, but initially they were set in place to try and close this opportunity gap. So just thinking about our work here at Reading Partners and the roles we even play as volunteers, we really just want to be able to address this and speak openly about it, especially as it relates to how we're serving students and how it can impact them. Next, you'll be prompted with a question. So again, just review the information we talked about and try to answer these questions to your best ability.